All right, it's 10 o'clock on the Pacific Coast and 1 o'clock on the East Coast. I want to welcome everyone to the webinar here today. We're really going to be focusing in on helping you to get your hands around ChatGPT and its practical applications in your company right now. And so we're going to be learning how ChatGPT can save your team 5+ hours a week. And in my mind, just from working with construction companies over the last year or so, diving into the applications of AI, 5+ hours a week is a real minimum. My name is Eric Anderton. For those who don't know me, I've been working with contractors since 2004. Here are some of the contractors I work with, from subcontractors all the way up to multi-billion-dollar general contractors. And I want to introduce my co-host, Dylan Davis, to you. So Dylan, take it away. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, hello. I'm the founder of Gradient Labs. It's an AI consultancy that helps organizations implement AI as well as educate those that are inside those organizations. And I work with Fortune 500 companies as well as medium-sized organizations. So happy to be here.
That's excellent. So with myself and Dylan, you have a construction expert who's been working with contractors for 2 decades, and you have the AI expert. And those are the two expertise that we're marrying together to bring you some tremendous value in today's session. We're also the co-facilitators of the ChatGPT Mastery for Construction Leaders course, and I'll be explaining some more about that course at the end of the webinar. But if anything that we're sharing here today is in any way confusing or you're not clear on it, it's not your fault, it's my fault. And so what I'd like you to do, as I said, is to put a question into the chat, or you can shoot me an email. If your question isn't answered here today and you want it answered, send me an email, eric@constructiongenius.com. I will answer your email within 24 hours. Okay, so why is today's topic such an important one? Andy Jassy, the CEO of Amazon, sent out a memo recently to his organization, and he said, we're restructuring our company around AI. He went on to say that technologies like generative AI come about once in a lifetime. So think about transformative technologies. Off the top of your head right now, chat into the box for me one transformative technology that comes to mind, something that's really transformed the way the world works. Yep, internet, Philip, fire, yes, railroad, iPhone, the PC, the plow, the steam engine, automotives, the wheel. Yeah, you guys are right on here. So think about it. I mean, I'm a Gen Xer, right? So I began life without the internet, and the internet was introduced to me. So I remember pre-internet, post-internet, and I can tell you that life has completely changed because of the internet. The testament to that fact is that we are all sitting on this webinar here today, which is powered by the internet, with people from all over the country and even all over the world interacting in a way that would have been impossible 40 years ago. Okay. So this is why we're really very much focused on how AI can impact your business. And we want to make it super practical here today. We're going to talk about 3 things: the revenue killers and margin crushers in your business, the ChatGPT solution framework that can address those revenue killers and margin crushers. And then I'm going to offer to you a practical implementation strategy that you can use right now to get more comfortable with AI. So you think about the Magnificent Seven. We're all familiar with these companies. They're all in on AI. And you may say, well, I'm not a tech company. I'm not going to be building a construction project on Mars anytime soon. But if you think about these companies, Suffolk, Turner, DPR, Bechtel, they are all investing tons of time and money on thinking through how to use and apply AI in their organization. Not only that, but in July of 2025, the White House released this report, Winning the Race, America's AI Action Plan. And so it's not just the biggest companies in the world. AI transformation has become official government policy. And so they released this action plan. And let me just read a couple of quotes from the plan. AI will transform how work gets done across all industries and occupations, demanding a serious workforce response to help workers navigate that transition. We are here today to help you to navigate the transition. That's why Dylan and I are here today. So think about this. The government is saying AI will transform all industries. Construction is not exempt. This isn't optional anymore. But what I like about this document, if you read it, it takes a worker-first AI agenda approach. The goal isn't to replace workers. It's to create more pathways to economic opportunities. So the question isn't whether this transformation is coming to construction. The question is, are you going to lead it or get left behind by it? And if you're a CEO, your responsibility is to understand this technology and position your company to benefit from it. And that's exactly what we're going to show you how to do today. Chat into the box for me now. What's one impact that you're seeing in construction from AI right now? What's one impact? Please chat that into the box for me. What are you seeing right now? Brandon, contract review. Todd, meeting minutes. Excellent. Yeah, meeting minutes. This is great. Letters, very good. So I like some of this. Very simple, very straightforward, but very effective. Generative AI for quicker access to information related to deliverables. Thank you, Mandar. John, submittal logs. Vendor options, distilling, summarizing key content. Yep. Patrick, estimating. Yeah. Kevin, reviewing of estimates. Very good. Excellent. Okay, so there's change order management. Thank you, Brandon. So there's definite impact that's happening. And I can tell by the way that you're answering the questions that many of you have begun to play with AI, begun to experiment with it. And I can see that some of the uses that you're using, or the ways that you're using it, are excellent because they're not necessarily tremendously risky, but they are tremendously impactful. And that's a great way to get comfortable with this technology. Okay. So you've got to apply AI in ways that drive profitability. And again, your job as a CEO is to understand this technology in terms of applications relevant to your company, because your responsibility is to the profitability of your organization. All right. So let's talk about some of those revenue killers and margin crushers. Where is your money really going? And it's going in ways that perhaps you haven't thought about much. And so let me tell you the story of Sad Dave. Dave is a senior project manager, tremendously sharp, a guy that I was working with, and he was becoming a bit of a bottleneck in his organization when it came to knowledge transfer. His issue is he was trying to train a junior PM on reviewing a subcontractor change order, but Dave was too slammed to do it. And his thinking is like this: it would take me 2 hours to show the kid how to do this, and I could do it myself in 20 minutes. So he was becoming a real bottleneck. And my response to Dave was this: is you don't need 2 hours, you just need 15 minutes. So this is what I taught him. I taught him how to use Loom, Loom. It's an application you can use to record your screen, your computer screen, and you can make a video of yourself and record the screen. And it also produces a transcript for you. So what Dave did is he walked through reviewing a subcontractor change order on his computer. He spoke naturally as he was going through it, explaining why he was going to different parts of the software and what his thinking was. And then from that recording, we generated a transcript. We fed that transcript into ChatGPT with a very simple prompt. And the prompt was this: turn this transcript into a step-by-step checklist for a new PM, include key decision points and things to watch out for. And the result was he got a clean, professional SOP in 30 seconds. And so he sat down and walked through the process with the junior PM, and the junior PM had now the video that Dave recorded and a usable SOP to refer back to if he had questions. And so Sad Dave went to Happy Dave because he learned that simple process. Now, do me a favor, drop a thumbs up into the chat if what I just shared with you makes sense, and if that's something that you could use in your organization right now. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if that's something that makes sense. Jeff, great. Mandar, great. Brandon, that's excellent. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up here. That's tremendous. Now, believe me, friends, you all know that this knowledge transfer is an issue, and getting effective SOPs is an issue as well. And I find, let me tell you a simple insight here. Dave is so experienced that he does many things without even knowing it, that are intuitive to him and that are hard to communicate to other people. But by going through this process of recording himself, doing the task, and narrating the task, he then produced a transcript that was full of insight, And those insights could then be translated into the SOP using ChatGPT. Now, if what I've said makes sense to you, just type yes into the box for me, please. If I'm not being clear, just type no. Charlie, great. Yes. Okay. All right, cool. Excellent. All right. So that's one takeaway for you right now. If you just use this one takeaway from what I've just shared with you, you're going to get a tremendous ROI on the time that you've spent with me here today. Okay. So now let me ask you a question. Every company does work in the field and work in the office. And we all know that without the field putting work in place, we don't make any money. But here's the question. What drives more of your competitive advantage? Please listen to this question. Is it having skilled field crews who execute well, or having better systems for estimating costs, planning projects, and communicating with clients? What drives more of your competitive advantage? Please type that into the box. Is it skilled field crews, or is it better systems? Mark, you said the latter. That's great. Carl's planning ladder. Yes. Now, okay, good. We've got that. Now, it's really interesting. I was talking to one expert, and what he was sharing with me is that 70% of our hours are spent in the field, and that's 30% of our competitive advantage, where 30% of our hours are spent in the office. But there is where we can find competitive advantage. And most competitive advantage comes from estimating, planning, scheduling, and continuous improvement. And that is exactly where AI excels. Okay, now let's talk about some revenue killers. Let me ask you this. Chat into the box for me real quick. Before I share mine, what are some of your revenue killers? What are some of the things that, man, every time it happens, you're thinking, this is just going to kill my revenue? Miss Scope. Thank you, Jay. Yeah, John, estimating. Yeah, Dan, estimate busts or misses. Yes. Michael, schedule delays. Lynn, general contractors. Come on, no complaining about the GCs here, Lynn. Delays, finishing. Yeah. Okay. So here are some revenue killers that I'm familiar with and that I've seen again. Number one is bid accuracy. Bid accuracy. Number two, information gaps. Okay. Number three, customer service delays. Slow responses damage relationships. Number four, change order problems. Miscommunications create disputes. So those are some of the revenue killers. Here are some margin crushers. Before I share my margin crushers, what are some things that crush your margins? Chat that into the box for me, please. What are some margin crushers? Rework, yeah. Brandon, yeah. Yes, Todd, go backward. Same as rework. Delays, material delivery delays, yep. Forest, bad planning, yep. Yeah, so here are some margin crushers that I've identified. Number one is the admin overhead. I mean, how many of you have looked at your admin recently and thought, man, maybe we have too much admin? What do you guys think? Is your overhead where you want it to be? Give me a yes or no on that. Are you happy with your overhead, or could it use some trimming? What do you guys think? Okay. Justin, you're happy? That's good. Okay. Trim lots. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Maybe that's an application, by the way, off topics for the end of the year when things slow down a little bit. Maybe you take a few days and take a look at your overhead and ask, where are some areas that we're just wasting money that we don't need to be wasting money in? That's something that you might be able to do here in the next few weeks. So 30 to 40% of office time is spent on tasks that don't build anything. And then you have specialization problems. This is an interesting thing. Think of it. Only Fred can do concrete estimates. What happens when Fred's out? Okay, poor communication is a real problem, and that creates expensive mistakes and then cash flow delays. So when you think about these revenue killers and these margin crushers, these are all areas that AI can help you with, and that's what we're going to look at next. So let's dive into the ChatGPT solution framework. Okay, now in the chat, I want you to type one area where your team wastes time the most. Is it proposals, RFIs, meeting notes, market research, reports, or is it something else? What do you waste time the most in? Submittals, thank you, Peter. Proposals, RFIs, Boris. Reports, meeting minutes, Mark. RFIs and change orders, thank you, Kellen. Approval of times, submittal. Okay, all right. Tons of different stuff. So these tasks that we have to do, but they just suck time away from us, okay? All right, so with that in mind, you want to start small and build confidence. So leaders must provide confidence when facing uncertainty. And with the adoption of any new technology, there's always a bunch of hype surrounding it. There's also a tremendous amount of uncertainty. So you want to start small with low risk experiments, which have high learning potential. Okay. And what you want to do over time is build judgment. Learn when to trust AI and when to override it. And this is a key point. As AI handles more routine work, human judgment and relationships become more valuable, not less. Okay, so we're going to dive into real prompts and real results here using ChatGPT. I was chatting with a young construction pro the other day. I asked him, how much time do you save when you use ChatGPT to write an RFI? And he didn't hesitate. He said 10 minutes minimum. Now, he knows people who are writing tons of RFIs every year. And if you multiply that over weeks and months, you've got a massive gain in productivity. So we're going to dive into now a demo of how to do an RFI. And we're also going to explain the prompt improver. So with that in mind, I'm going to turn it over now to Dylan.
So what we have here is a very basic prompt. This is a few sentences long. And with prompt engineering or prompting in general, this tends to be some of the more overwhelming elements of AI. But the good thing is there are
Can you
tools.
enlarge your screen a little bit, please?
Yeah, how
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, I think that's better. Is that better if we enlarge it? Yep. Okay, good. People can see it. Yeah.
Rock and roll. So the good thing about these tools, prompt improvers, is they're basically taking all of the best practices for prompting and injecting it into your base prompt. So you have to have something to start with. So this is our base prompt. In this example, we're going to have the AI write an RFI for us based off of some inputs that we provide. So you can see we're basically telling the AI, given a construction issue, your job is to write an RFI. And then we give some details around how we would like that RFI written. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this prompt, this base prompt, I'm going to paste it into ChatGPT's prompt improver because both ChatGPT as well as Claude have dedicated prompt improvers that'll take all the best practices for prompting their given models, so ChatGPT specific models, and injects that into my prompt. So if I put this in here, I paste it in there and I select optimize at the bottom, it's going to take that and put all the best practices in there for me. But as like any good cooking show, I've already ran it, so we don't have to wait. And you can see that this has been run for me. And the base prompt that I provided is much bigger now. First off, it's more structured, which is really important. So you can see there's different sections that have these little symbols. So the AI knows what each section represents. But also when you use this tool, it actually teaches you why it did what it did. So you can see some of these have blue lines. If I select the comment box here, it's going to give me a very specific reason as to why it added that section. And it's going to educate me on prompting as well. So it's a double benefit. Both you're being taught about prompting, as well as you're automatically getting out of the box an improved prompt, which means you're going to get a higher quality output from the AI. So if I copy this out, this copy button at the top right-hand corner, I can drop this into my chat box here. I'll scroll to the bottom and I'll actually add the input for this. So it's looking for some form of input about the RFI. So I'm going to grab that here and I'll paste it in here, push enter. And this is going to be kind of fast because we're using a specific model provided from OpenAI. So if I do this drop down, you can see there's different options I can choose from. We have auto, instant, and thinking. I'm using auto, which means I'm going to use less intelligence to get a faster response. And here, if I zoom out, I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit so I can see it. It's kind of big on my screen. All right, so as you can see, it came back with a bulleted response. So this is coming back with a bulleted response because in the system prompt above, the improved one, we asked for the format to be either in bullets or in a few paragraphs. So that's why we're seeing that bulleted response.
Yeah, well, let me just restate real quick and help me out here, Dylan. So what you did is you took a basic prompt and then you put that into the prompt improver. And I chatted a link in for the prompt improver into the chat box for everyone to see. Mm-hmm. And then based on the prompt improver, you took that information, put it back in ChatGPT with the RFI example, and then ChatGPT generated the RFI response. Now, let's go on to meeting summaries. This is something that has been mentioned a number of times. And so what you want to be able to do with meeting summaries, very simply, is record the meeting, obviously having people, people's permission. And the way you want to look at meeting summaries, as I'm thinking about this, picture that you're a general contractor, you're a PM running a weekly coordination meeting with the owner's rep and the subs are in the room, everyone's there, and you've got your super in the room, your field engineer is dialing in. It's a classic construction coordination meeting. And like many of us, you're running the meeting, but you also need to record what was discussed, what was decided, who's on the hook for what. So you could take notes by hand while trying to facilitate, or you could use this process. And so, like I said, number one, you've got to record the meeting. Get everyone's permission so that everyone knows that that's being recorded. It's important for compliance. And after the meeting, you can upload the audio into a transcription tool. There's lots of them out there, like AI and Rev and Descript, and you end up with a raw transcript full of messy ums and crosstalk, but it captures everything. And this transcript becomes your raw material. And before we dump anything into ChatGPT, I know we've been asking this already, but let's talk about confidentiality. And so, Dylan, let me kick it over to you. Give us an idea of the confidentiality differences and the different levels of ChatGPT that you can get.
Yeah, so there's a variety of levels. So we have the free plan, we have the plus plan, which is $20, and then we have Teams, which I think is around 25 per seat. And that's going to be for most organizations. Most organizations use the Teams offering. And then we have Enterprise. So Teams and Enterprise both have additional security features because those are oriented towards organizations. The Enterprise plan and pricing is usually custom based on contracts. And I usually recommend organizations start with Teams. And going back to the point that I mentioned previously in settings, you always want to make sure that is off instead of on when it comes to improving future models. So that's kind of the primary difference in the tiers. So Enterprise is really aiming towards Fortune 500s, Teams, most companies, Plus is where you can start as an individual, and then free is for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're paying for AI with Team or Enterprise, OpenAI doesn't store your conversations or use your data for training. And this means you can use real names, real project details, real sensitive information. It's the same privacy level as Gmail for Business or Office 365. Now let's talk about garbage in, garbage out, right? We're ready to get ChatGPT to do some work. And here's the key. The quality of your prompt determines the quality of your output. That's why we use the prompt improver, okay? So let's dive into the idea of using meeting minutes and projects and GPTs. And so I'm going to kick it back over to Dylan for him to share his screen again and walk us through how to use a meeting minutes format.
Alrighty. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how to create a GPT project. So what is a GPT project? Well, there's two different types of ways to have an AI that's tailored to a specific task that you can use on a recurring basis. And of all the people that I've worked with around AI, usually after you become slightly more advanced in using these tools, you spend 70 to 80% of your time inside of GPT projects or custom GPTs. Reason being is you've tailored it to a given task that you care about. You just drop in a small thing and it produces or it achieves a task that you'd like. The difference between the two is custom GPTs, you can share publicly with the world. They have a GPT store similar to the Apple Store or the Android store where you download apps. You can share GPTs with others. Most people can stick with GPT projects. They achieve everything you need and you can share it with others inside your organization. Now we're going to do one for meetings. So I'm going to drop in a transcript and it's automatically going to spit back to me specific notes around how I want the notes to be structured and also what should be included in those notes. So I have a base prompt over here that again is just a few lines. So we could improve this with the prompt improver, but we're just going to stick with what we have here. And what the AI is going to take in is the transcript from the meeting, and then it's going to kick back to me a meeting summary in the way that I want it. So to create a project, you would go to the left-hand side in this menu, and right here we have GPTs, so the GPTs that I mentioned, and then right below that we have projects. So I'm going to do a new project here. We're going to name this test for now. I'm going to say create project, and this is automatically going to slice off a project for me. And once it's done that, I then can go over here on the upper right-hand corner where these three dots are. I'm going to say add instructions, and that's where my prompt's going to go. So this prompt that I'm pasting in these instructions, every time I interact with this AI inside this project folder is always going to look at these instructions before it does anything else. And that's what makes it hyper tailored to this specific task. So if I do save here, it's automatically going to save those instructions for this specific test project that I created. And now what we can do is we can take our demo transcript, we can drop this into our AI, and we then can send this off. It's then going to read the instructions. It'll then read the transcript and then produce back to me what I need from it. And as you can see, it's giving back everything we need. So I have the title, the project, who's included, etc. Main issues discussed, key technical clarifications of action items, owners, etc.
Excellent. Excellent. So again, just to restate, Dylan, why would we use GPTs and projects?
So you would use GPTs if you wanted to create something that the rest of the world could use. So you wanted to create something public. But most of the time, I'd recommend simply just using projects. They're very similar when it comes to the features available to both.
Yeah. And so the projects, again, are for tasks that are reoccurring, such as RFIs or meeting minutes that you're going to be doing again and again and again. And you just want to drop in the raw data and get the response back. Is that correct?
Right. Honestly, 80% of the things you're doing will likely be projects because you likely do it on a daily, a weekly, or a monthly basis. And you can encapsulate that process into a project and then save yourself hours, if not days of time.
Excellent. And do we need the paid version in order to access projects?
Yes.
Okay, so you need a paid version, and it could be the $20 a month one, but you need to use the paid version in order to access projects. Again, this is a very simple application, but one that you can do immediately. And by using this application, it can have a tremendous impact on your productivity right away. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen here. And the whole idea is we want you to go from chaos to clarity. The AI isn't replacing your judgment here. It's multiplying your output. So we've gone from a bunch of, words on a sheet of paper, so to speak, with your meeting minutes, and we've moved to crystal clear accountability. You don't just attend meetings. Using this process, you can mine them for gold. It's going to help you with accountability because you can say, hey, in the meeting, you said this, it was on the transcript, we've got it recorded in the meeting minutes. This is what you're accountable for. So again, remember though that the AI isn't replacing your judgment. You still need to read through the minutes, make sure everything is in order, make sure that you haven't missed anything. Okay? Now think about this. Let's talk numbers on this specific application of ChatGPT. If your average time to write professional meeting notes is about 2.5 hours, using this process, as we've described, once you have it set up, it's going to take you about 10 minutes. So that's going to save you about 2.3 hours. And if your PM is got a $75 an hour work rate, that's $172 of value per meeting. And if you have 2 coordination meetings a week, that's almost $18,000 of annual value from one simple AI application. But the real value is this: better communication and fewer misunderstandings. And when everyone has clear, accurate meeting records, projects run smoother. Okay, now let me ask you this. Do you do postmortems on projects? Give me a yes or no. Do you do postmortems on projects? Let me see here. Okay, I'm getting a lot of yeses. Okay, excellent, excellent. Let me ask you this. Have you ever done a pre-mortem on a project? Have you ever done a pre-mortem? I'm getting a few no's and a few yeses. Okay, so for our final demo, we want to show you something that can literally save your margins. And it's a simple shift that can transform painful experience into competitive advantage. And it's using postmortems as a fuel for pre-mortems, because every painful project you've done is free consulting for your next one. Okay. So imagine that you have a hospital project and you're doing a postmortem, change orders blew up, subs ghosted you midway through the framing, the owners delayed approvals on finishes. That's a postmortem. Now, let's use that information here to put together a pre-mortem. And Dylan, can you dive into that part of the demo, please?
Share my screen again. All right. So as Eric mentioned, we're going to do a pre-mortem. So this prompt here is assuming that we're going to give it 2 things. First, we're going to give it a postmortem. So the postmortem that we ran previously, reflecting on previous projects. And then we're also going to give it an RFP that we're trying to create a document for to ensure that we're preparing for that effectively with the pre-mortem. So I'm going to take this prompt and we're going to paste this into ChatGPT. And then right below this, I'm going to add some space. And then I'm going to paste in below that the 2 things I mentioned, the postmortem and the RFP. So this is going to be some demo information. I'll paste that in there. And then before I hit enter, I'm actually going to choose a model that can think a bit harder for me. So instead of doing auto, I'm going to change this to thinking. And then this little blue thing pops up here in the chat box. It says extended and standard. We'll go with standard because it's less time consuming. But what these represent is the amount of time the AI thinks. So is it a standard amount of time or is it an extended amount of time? Depending on the task, especially ones like this, I'd recommend setting it to extended and letting the AI think as long as possible. And that's because what it's doing is it's assessing multiple things. So it's looking at the RFP, it's looking at the postmortem, it's looking at the prompt, etc. And it has to think about different paths and issues that one could run into to get a higher quality output. So think more brains, better output, but the wait time is longer. So we'll wait for maybe 10 to 15 seconds. And you should note that these could go, depending on the complexity of the task, the wait time here could go up to 3 to 5 minutes, but you can see this finish in 38 seconds. So if I go back a bit, so we can see this, it's going to give us a postmortem document. So it states the most likely areas of risk based off of the
this would be the pre-mortem document.
pre-mortem,
right?
sorry. Yeah,
Based on the
pre-mortem.
postmortem. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the pre-mortem document. based on the postmortem, the RFP. So most likely risk areas, early warning signs to be aware of. And these are all things that we can take into consideration when drafting our response to the RFP. So we have questions to ask, and these are even questions for different parties involved. So these are questions for the owner. These are questions for the architect, questions for the internal team.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
These are all things that we want to think about and contemplate to ensure that we're prepared for these projects.
Yep. And again, what you're doing here, guys, and I'm chatting this into the box, is you're taking your postmortem from a previous similar project. You're taking your current RFP. You're using the prompt improver to help you to develop a pre-mortem prompt. And then you're putting the information into the project or the GPT. And as a result of that, you're getting a tremendous amount of value back from that simple process. Now, so what we've done is we're really wanting you to stop repeating the same mistakes with this pre-mortem exercise and build institutional risk intelligence. Okay, so think about your competitors. Your competitors are like hamsters on the wheel, repeating the same margin killer mistakes. But what you can do using this process is build systematic wisdom that travels with every estimate. Every painful project becomes institutional knowledge instead of just expensive experience. Your pre-con meetings become strategic sessions instead of just schedule reviews. Your risk assessment becomes more data-driven instead of just going with your gut. And over time, you can develop pattern recognition that your competitors simply don't have. This is a way, by the way, that smaller, mid-sized contractors can compete with larger firms using superior risk intelligence. Okay, so we covered revenue killers and margin crushers. We covered the ChatGPT solution framework. Let me just give you some advice here in how to really implement ChatGPT in a strategic way. Because again, it's a new technology. And so let me ask you a question. How many of you have used ChatGPT in your business in the last 30 days? Just type yes into the box if you have. Okay, yeah, every day. Okay, yes. Okay, good. Almost everyone has. Okay, now think about this. If you're going to implement this new technology, or really, it's interesting because a lot of people are kind of using it in a sort of random way in the organization. It's not systematic, right? It's one guy using Gemini, another guy using Claude, someone else using ChatGPT. Everybody's struggling with Copilot because it's all on our desktops, right? But really, if you're going to be systematic about it, let me give you a little implementation strategy. Number one, phase one, you've got to get leadership, confidence, buy-in, okay, and confidence building. So get the CEOs, the owners, the senior team in the room, and at the minimum, get ChatGPT Plus for $20 a month. Don't delegate this to your tech person. Get in a boardroom, pull up ChatGPT on your big TV, and input a real company problem, and start prompting it as a team. Start playing with it. You can do this over lunch, a little lunch and learn, right? And if it gives you a BS answer, then ask ChatGPT to play contrarian and give you alternatives. If it's a BS answer, just tell it that it's a BS answer and see how it responds. So what you're going to be doing here is practicing prompting with non-sensitive scenarios, and you can scenario out real challenges that you have. Phase two, week 2 through 4, is strategic experimentation. Okay, what you want to do is get AI curious champions. So don't tolerate old school people with no interest. Find people who are interested and double down. Take those low risk applications like meeting minutes or market research or the SOP that I shared with you earlier. Turn over all the stones in your bid work, build work, and get paid, and ask yourself, how can AI improve each one? Develop your judgment. Learn to recognize good versus poor AI output and quality prompting skills. All right, then from there, you go to phase 3, month 2 plus, which is your competitive advantage building. Okay, so train team members across multiple functions, use AI for strategic planning sessions and team communication templates, use AI to be more responsive and thoughtful, and leverage AI for proposal quality and client services. And always remember, humans are the conductors, AI is the orchestra, expertise, taste, and intuition is essential. So when you think about your biggest concern about AI, is it the data? Is it the garbage in, garbage out, or is it the getting old school people to buy in? What do you think is your biggest concern? Yeah, all three. Tim, old school people. Yeah. Buy in and review. Yeah. Data. Yeah. Okay. So again, if you're paying for getting the paid version of ChatGPT, your data is secure. Garbage in, garbage out. That's a learning process. As far as the old school people are concerned, get them wins, get them little wins that they can buy into. Okay. All right. Lynn, finding the time. Yeah, that's something you may have to do in off hours. But again, the idea is that we want to save you 5+ hours a week per person. So think about what the potential ROI is for you. And let me ask you this question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to mastering AI tools in your business? Just type that number into the chat on a scale of 1 to 10. I got an 8, I got a 10, I got another 8. Tony, you're giving me a 2. Tony, I tell you, man, a 9, a 10, that's excellent. I got an 11. I got a 12 out of 10. I'll tell you, we're gonna turn it up to 11. We're adding more cowbell as we speak. All right, so let's go back to Andy Jassy, right? He said we're restructuring our company around AI, and the reality is it's something that you can wait for, or it's something that you can get ahead of. And I think the leadership imperative is that you've got to start using ChatGPT and other AI tools right away if you're not. So today, sign up for ChatGPT Plus at a minimum. Test one business application with real work problems, share your results with the team, start training people. So let me take a minute here and tell you about the ChatGPT Mastery for Construction Leaders course. And this is Dimitri. Dimitri took the course and he enrolled his team to expose them to where AI is really headed. And I'm going to be sending you all of these testimonials to take a look at as well. But he said the course paid for itself the moment the light bulb went on in my guys' heads when they realized this is what this thing can do for me. And what Dimitri says is if you're not using AI yet, this course is the best way to dip your toes in without getting overboard. And this is what Matt Bloch of Bloch Brothers said. I mean, he joined the course because AI isn't optional anymore. The mindset that AI won't affect us is dangerously short-sighted. And he said that the ROI of joining the course was almost immediate through an unexpected application. And that was using AI to go over his monthly credit card statements. And so this course helped him to see that embracing AI isn't about replacing people. It's about empowering them to work smarter. And then he said here, Christina, what she did is she uses ChatGPT to consolidate and prioritize 2 job descriptions, and work that would normally take a few hours was completed in 10 minutes, and several hours of work were reduced to 20 minutes. And the course gave her a solid foundation for safe and effective AI adoption. She said both Eric and Dylan were excellent. I'm a skilled facilitator, and Dylan brings the deep technical expertise. Us working together had a tremendous impact for Christina, and the course paid for itself when our team saw firsthand what AI could do for our workflows. And the course is a clear, practical, and safe way to get started with AI. So let me explain to you what the course is all about. There's 4 sessions. Session 1 is getting your team ready to win with AI. And so we're going to go over buttonology. We're going to go over laying the groundwork for what ChatGPT can do, how to draft a strong base prompt with much more information on the prompting that we've done today. And yes, Kurt, we will share the prompt scripts that were used today. And our goal is to get everyone running immediately. We all know in a construction project, your foundation is essential. So in the first session, we lay that foundation. Then we take a deeper dive into projects and custom GPTs and why advanced users spend 80% of their time here. And we're going to demo and build examples live. Session 3, we haven't even shared this with you yet. And there's so much juice in this particular orange. And that's the reverse AI interview. We're going to teach you this method for the bid, plan, and build applications in your business. You'll bring examples, and we'll show you how to extract expert knowledge and refine workflows using this reverse AI interview. And then session 4 is about building organizational intelligence and strategic advantage. Okay, we're going to be using AI as an executive advisor, a mental sparring partner, a coaching assistant, and how you can use AI to think, plan, and prepare for high stakes conversations. All right, so let me give you some details on the course. The regular price for work like this with Dylan and I working with you would be $25,000 plus. The cohort price, $9,997, a 60% discount. You can have 3 team members from your company participate, and we have a maximum of 10 companies in the cohort. There's 4 2-hour learning sessions, and in between each session is 4 1-hour Q&A sessions with Dylan and I. And these Q&A sessions are killer because you can come with all of your questions, all of your concerns, and Dylan and I will make sure that they're all answered so that you get maximum ROI. And then speaking of ROI, we give you a 100% money back guarantee at any time during the course. If you're not getting value from the session, all you need to do is send me an email and I will refund 100% of your money with a smile on my face. Okay. I want to make sure that you get maximum value, and then you get ongoing support with email access for your AI journey. Okay. Now, here's a QR code on the screen. And what I want you to do is I want you to apply for the course, because I'm not just taking anyone for this course. I think it's really, really important, right? This is not just for anyone. It's for people who are tremendously serious about using GPT and ChatGPT in their organization. So the deadline for the application is Wednesday, December 10th. Okay. It's Wednesday, December 10th. And what I'd like you to do is to scan this, use your phone and scan this QR code, and that will give you access to the application form. So what I want you to do is, if you're interested in applying, there's no guarantee that you're going to be in the course. Last time we ran the course, a couple of people weren't fits, and so I politely declined them. But if you are a fit, then we can talk about you joining the course. The only thing that we ask in return for the discounted price of $99.97 is that you give us a ton of feedback and that you're willing to share with us any information that you have that can help us to improve the course, as well as giving us a testimonial. So if that sounds fair in terms of the discount in exchange for the feedback. So again, let me give you the overview of the course. Regularly, it's $25,000 plus. The cohort price is $97. You get 8 total sessions, 100% money back guarantee, ongoing support, but you must go through the application process, and you have a week to go through that application process. So this is what we've covered: how ChatGPT can save your team 5+ hours a week. You are now at a crossroads. You can either wait for certainty, wait for what others do, wait for a perfect solution, and risk your competitors getting a 6 to 12 month advantage, or you can start building capability now. Begin experimenting, building organizational learning, leading your market in AI adoption. And if it's a fit for you, joining us in the ChatGPT course. So what's one thing you're going to do as a result of what you've learned today? After all this information that we've shared with you, we're right at the end of the session now. What's one thing you're going to do? Type that into the box, please. Peter, prompt improver. Lynn, commit the time. Right on. Practice and hone your prompting skills. Yeah, you're going to watch the presentation again. Right on. That's a great idea, Rodney. We are going to send that to you so that you can watch it again. Excellent. Again, we're going to give you the prompt guide, the full slide deck, and the session recording. And if you want to apply for the course, you are welcome to. We'd love to look at your application and get back to you. Feel free to use the barcode or the URL and apply for the course. Really appreciate you guys being on the course with us here today. Really appreciate all of your time, and have a great day, guys.